Hey everybody, Slightly Slanted Sleuth here coming at you from Oakdale, Minnesota, from the garage. But yeah, I just wanted to do a late night live stream. And I'm so popular, there's 0 people here. Imagine that. Because I'm not about the money, 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 money. But hi, whoever's here, whoever's going to be here, may love, peace, and chicken grease be with you always. Who's here? I got one person in the chat so far. But yeah, I wanted to speak on the money aspect of our reality and how superfluous all of it is. As far as promotion of goods and services and whatnot. I believe when there's money involved, it corrupts everything. But I'm going to share this live stream to a few people, so bear with me, folks. But yeah, there's one watching, and I think that one is me on my phone. And my battery's dying on my phone, so I won't be there long. We got 2 watching now. Hello, who's here with me? Who is here with me? Say hello, I'm on my phone in chat, so I'm right here with you. But yeah, the 1 and 1 make 3. I don't know if you're aware of that, but 333 is me. And I'm so full of light. Check this out. Watch. Let me move this over here. Who is this? We got Paul from Newcastle. What's up, brother? Check this out. Can you guys see that? You can't really see it, huh? Because that light's here. Let me. Whatever. But anyway, yeah, the lights of these. I can't read with these glasses. I need bifocals. What's up, Paul from Newcastle? But I just got done bowling. It is 1 a.m. Central Standard Time, or 12:57 to be more precise. And all is well for whom the bell tolls. But yeah, guys and girls, I wanted to say thank you to whomever is assisting me in my journey, and anybody who is in my reality right now is assisting me, whether or not you agree with me or not, because with contrast comes comparison. With comparison comes proportion, meaning, measure, and then finally you figure out what you got to figure out, right? Through the debate, because I'm a master debater, I mean. I'm just kidding. Padma Kundalini, yo, what's up? Yeah, we got us a small little get together going on here. It's 6:58 a.m. Where are you at in UK? So you just got up, or did you even go to sleep? Cool. Padma, what is your real name, Pat? I don't know if you want to tell me or not, but my real name is Steve Stone. I'm a stonemason, and I am a Freemason. Well, I'd like to think I'm free, but I'm not a Freemason. Padma, okay. Nice. Cool name, by the way. No sleep, northeast of England. No sleep till Brooklyn, right? So what do you guys say to our money mess we're in right now, as far as Do you think there's any other way? Do you think we can have a society or a existence without money? Do you think that's possible? I don't know. Do you guys think so? Bruce Amen Simpson, what's up? Bruce Omala Amen Simpson Rhodes. I love that name. Nice long, just like slightly slanted sleuth for the truth. And by the way, I use the S's because um, I don't know, because it's in my name. Steve Stone. Steve Stone, don't leave me alone. But do you think it's possible? I'm gonna text a couple of people um, that I'm live. But if anybody wants to come on, I'll put the link in the live chat, and you can come on. I don't know if anybody's willing, but I'd like to talk to anybody. So I'm not talking to myself, if you know what I mean. And I think our biggest obstacle in this evolution of revolution of evolution. Hey, what up, MCF, my sister from another mister? And Danny D is in the house as well. I see you, Danny. Yeah, you just texted me back. I'm at work per usual, making that money, right? On that treadmill. Yes, you like being heard. Yeah, I write that in my description because, you know, a place that you can say anything may not be a place I agree with, but at least I'm heard, right? Here, prepare yourself. Check that out. Ain't that wicked? That's an LED grow light. You talk about overloading the sensors, huh? Isn't that how our sun feels these days? But yeah, it's incredible. The light is our creator and our redeemer. But we won't go into that religious stuff right now. I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think it's possible to have a society without mullah? Do you think it is possible? Disintegral, what up, Lee? How you doing, buddy? No, I had to set up. I got my big studio here. As you see, I had to set it up right. No, I had to tend to some personal issues, like getting something to drink, exchange of services, not for money, or we could put in, as we're younger, and contribute, and you get back what you can contribute, right? As far as labor, services, you know. Yes. So how you been, Lee? I'm glad you're here. I'm sure glad you're here. How's the weather been over there? Paul from Newcastle is over in your neck of the woods too, I think. By the way, my mother was born in London. Yes, she was. She was born in England. Glad to have caught you. I'm glad you caught me as well. But I've been watching a couple streams lately on a pretty big channel that we all frequent, and had a particular guest on recently. Not the one tonight, but last night or the night before. I think you guys know who I'm talking about. His first name starts with an R. His last name starts with an S. For the most part, the man is genius. He's a go-getter. He's something in him has changed in the last year, and I don't know exactly what it is. And I'm not going to badmouth the guy because I believe he wants to do what's right, and I believe he is changing his paradigm or our paradigm or the paradigm as far as certain issues go. But what we need here, what we have here is a failure to communicate. And, I can't communicate any better than the next person. But my point with all that is when is enough with we're doomed? So be it. If we're doomed, we're doomed. Why? I mean, it's okay. Now, think of it like this. If you have cancer, do you want to go out? I'm dying, No, you want to go out living your life to the fullest, right? Right? Dying is probably the best thing that could happen to us. Not, for the people that are left behind, of course, because that's, you know, and that isn't that a selfish aspect of our. But my point with all this is when we die, we have to pay for that even. So, what are your guys' ideas on how we could sustain a viable existence without money? And people say, well, it's not money itself that's evil. It's the people that have the money that's evil. Well, therein is the issue. Money, by definition, then, is the root of all evil, is it not? So, Steve, the we're doomed scenarios get shock value views, and when you're making lots of money, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yes, you're right. Or vice versa. Right. Yes, absolutely. True that. It's enough when it starts troubling you on a regular basis. There's not much you can do about it. Right. What was it? Damn straight, Steve. Barter system would work. Yeah, it could work. Barter system could work. But yeah, anybody who was joined us recently, we're talking about how we could sustain a viable existence without the use of fiat currency or money or even digital currency. And I know a lot of people have stay focused. Right. Ain't that the truth? If we, and I appreciate anybody who keeps me on my path, even in the microcosm of my path. And I gotta reach out to a couple of people here in chat right now. How many people have killed themselves over the lack of money? A lot of people. What's up, Valley Parks? Long time no see. I'm glad you're here and joining me and us. Right. But we're talking about the love of money and other ways we could get by without it. I once heard there's an awesome video of a guy who claimed he time traveled into the future, like in the year 3000 or something, and he met his um, reincarnated lover that had died before he went into the coma or whatever. And this is what happened when he was in the coma, he time traveled like out of his body into the future. And he stated that they had a system in place, and I don't know if any of it's true, and I don't know if any of the time travel thing is true, or if it's even possible. So I don't even want to go there. I just wanted to bring the idea forth that they spent their youth training for specific tasks in society, whether it be doctors, whatever, and by your merit and your what you put in, your worth is what you got back out of the system. Like if you were a doctor, you got a little more. You live maybe in a higher scale home, or but therein lies the issue, does it not? What do you guys think of that? You put in what you think you can fathom in your mind, and you take on a job or a position, You know, and if you really think about it, our society is based on consumerism because we are always after something we really don't need, or the next person next door to you has something better of. In your mind, you think they have something better of, you know, where in reality, you don't need any of it. The only thing we need is water. And who knows if we even need food, to be honest with you, you know, because I know somebody pretty, pretty, I trust him, you know, and he said he went 28 days recently without food. Got a little loopy, but he went 28 days, folks, without food. And he doesn't fast all the time. So, hey, 5D. Oh, Mike's in the house. What's up, Mikey? Alex Fox is in the house. What's up? Cheers to insomnia. Yeah, no doubt, huh? Aaron, is Aaron in the house? I was just talking about him. There he is. He's here. What's up, brother from another mother? Yeah, he's the one who did the 28 days. So, yeah, I'm going to post this. You know, Michelle, why don't you come on here with me? Huh? Danny D's at work. Skywatch Brethren. Yeah. 111. Yes, it is 111 here. That's thrice great. Yes, yes, we are a great Yeshua 111. Consumerism is a virus. Okay, yeah, to get back on that point. Consumerism. Now, the superfluous nature of consumer. Oh, hang on. I got to do this. I'm sorry. I don't care. I just got to. Mighty spirit of light that shines through the cosmos, which is right here. You know, the light, any light, you know, is the light. I'm not saying that. I'm just kidding. But mighty spirit of light that shines through the cosmos, draw my flame closer in harmony to thee. Lift up my fire from out of the darkness, magnet of fire that is one with thee all. Lift up my soul, thou mighty and potent, child of the light, turn not away. Draw me in power to melt in thy furnace, one with all things and all things in one, fire of the life strain, and one with the brain. And, you know, I'm not going to going any further than that. You guys take that for what you will. I'm just going to tell you that I say that on a daily basis, and I do believe it helps me sync up with the synchro cosmic microwave background, if you will. Now, to get I can't read. I need bifocals. I'm getting old, guys. My husband cannot do 28 minutes without food. Right. Michelle Seymour, what's up, sweetheart? I'm glad you're here. Oh, isn't that weird? 11:11 there where she's at, and it's 1:11 where we're at. Synchro, brother. Yeah. I live at work. Well, I remember Nate's still up as always. Yeah, Nate the Great is never late. That's why he's the fantastic Nate. Thoth totally said that about Pop Tarts. Right. Yes, yes, Aster. My first son went to bed at 7 p.m. from infancy. Yes. Um, so what were we talking about? Consumerism. And I was gonna post a link. Hang on. I'm gonna go to this and get the link here. I gotta send it. I don't know if anybody wants to come on. I don't know if anybody's willing, but I will. I don't know how to. When I'm on a laptop, guys, how do I paste it into my email? Can anybody tell me how to do that? Does anybody know? Anybody? Please help me out. Is it Control C what? If somebody has a Groupon, the rhythm is. What did Aaron say? 3:33 p.m. here. Oh, no way, dude. Oh, wow. That's awesome, bro. That is awesome. That is sweet. Here, let me see if I can conjure up. Okay, I'm sending one to Aaron. Sending one to, I don't know, this one. Sending one to, let's see, there's My Skies. You look in your email here, My Skies, you'll have a email. I'm looking for one more. Oh, I was looking for you, Disintegral. I can't find you. You're probably under Lee, huh? Nope, 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 nope. Here, we'll invite Lavette. Let's see if Lavette will come on. We'll invite her, see if she can come on. She did it last time late at night. She lives in Vegas, so she's an hour behind, so she might. You never know. Wow, I'm shining because I was bowling. I bowled like short tonight. Okay, I sent you guys. I got to crash, guys. Good night, Panama. I'm glad you joined me for a little bit. I'm stuck at work with no food. Wait, I have brownie mix. Nice, Danny. Used to be 1-1s. You see 3-3-3 all the time now, huh? That's pretty cool. Control V to paste. Okay. Yeah. I don't know anything about any computers. I'm kind of computer illiterate. But yeah, if you do come on, if you do decide to join me, have at her. So now I can go to my email on my phone. Hang on, guys. Is it the Templar Cross? Okay, now, yeah, Disintegral. It's kind of odd that you say that. Yes, you see this? Right here on my shirt? That is the Templar Cross. That's where they get the cross from. The light right there, guys. That's where the cross comes from. It's the light itself. And the light is not something to be worshipped or even venerated. You know, you can say it's great, whatever, but it's not. It's nothing. It's a thing. It's a cog in create. It's more than nothing, of course. It's a cog in creation, and it is a product of our union with the ineffable. We are the bride. The ineffable is the bridegroom. You know, it's as if we're the abyss that the light inseminates to create the only begotten. And I've recently kind of wrapped my mind around that, like, wow. And it's through the tensor scalar relationship that creates matter from energy. In my layman learned opinion, you know, I haven't seen the light yet, except for right there. And, you know, I do believe I'm on the high road to it. I hope. Because I'd like to have the options of being above the cycle, the washing machine, because it's getting awful hot in this MFR. And I don't know if you guys realize that, but it's hot in this hellhole recently. And I don't think Earth is a hellhole. I enjoy being here with my, you know, but you can't enjoy it too much because that is the whole point, is to square the circle. Squaring the circle means to live as an infinite, ineffable being in a finite transient state to find yourself again. I guess that's a short and long and short of it. So that's why it's all, yeah, the pit of Tartarus. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes. While we're all going crazy. Doing some experiments this evening with astral projection and plant aids. Yeah, what have you been doing, Aaron? Medicine journey, Aaron? A sigil designed for memory. And that's another thing. You know, yeah, water, Valley Parks, good point. water. That is the, oh, somebody's here. Hey, who's here? Hey, it's my skies. What up, Mike? You got to unmute yourself, I think. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, brother.
Awesome.
Awesome, man. Glad you could join me. Hey. So how you been?
Yeah, you bet. I'm outside right now in the dark, so you probably can't see my face, but
It's all
I've
good.
been good. You know, I just got something. I just got some of that. You know, the monatomic gold, the philosopher's stone. Some of the white
Yes. Yep.
type, the white powder ormus.
I was gonna try to get myself some of
I
that
did it for
too.
3.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It is super magic. I'm telling you, my manifesting ability is like crazy. I did it for 3 days in a row, and I swear, no sooner than me uttering things out of my mouth, it happened right in my physical environment.
You sound like you're pretty amped up right now, brother.
Oh yeah, just talking to you, but I haven't done it for a few days, but no, just a tiny little bit of it too. And so I wanted to talk to a paramotorist, you know, paraglider or paramotor.
Yep.
And I went out, and within an hour after me manifesting that to me in the middle of my location where I'm, you know, always located basically. And I went up and I got to talk to him for a few. Asked him if he had any concerns about geoengineering.
And what did he say?
Concerns, and as a group, he doesn't see that as a, you know, as a group of paramotorists or sky sport enthusiasts as a huge issue, but he does himself had some concerns. Not like he had all the answers or had knew what it was all about, but
yeah, it's amazing that people that are in the clouds don't even recognize. I recently talked to a pilot, and he said that it's all made up conspiracy junk because planes make those automatically because the conditions are just right, this and that, yada, yada, yada. We all know better than that. But my point is that when you're up in the clouds, you should recognize if the clouds are different or not. And I mean, it's plain as day to me that the sky is different. I mean, you agree with that, right?
You can, and you know that the atmosphere, right? You realize the atmospheric agencies have reached out to the general population or citizens at large and asked them to watch the clouds for them. There's a global cloud watch observation app on Google that NASA put out that 2 or 3 times a day, there's a couple satellites passing, and they want you to go out with your cell phone and take pictures during those passes, and they'll match up your ground-based photography with satellite imagery. They do it in the schools. They take grade schoolers out and do this cloud observation and these watches all over. Look on Google. So that doesn't explain them hiding anything, because they've actually, you know, asked for the population at large to help them learn about clouds.
Yeah, I know. I have a new theory on the whole thing now. I don't think they're trying to obfuscate anything, and I think they're doing things to buffer the D layer, so when the sun comes up and changes the ionosphere, that it doesn't propagate the precipitation as much, because they're saying, I've read a bunch of articles recently and some sciencey stuff about how cosmic energies or X-rays and neutrinos of all cause clouds to propagate here on Earth.
Yep.
And you know, and so yeah, that makes total sense what you just said right there.
And you remember the magnetic, the ferromagnetic glass when the guy put the sword.
Yes.
Underneath.
The halo.
If we were experiencing magneto issues, it would produce those halos and those offset halos, and that's exactly the time they would be out spraying, trying to put us some extra protection between us and the cosmic radiation. With 20% of our magnetosphere diminished, it's like outer space is 20% closer to us, or 20% more, you know, cosmic radiation is entering. It would only.
Yes, and do you recognize how much lower the clouds are recently?
Yeah, sure do. It sure do. And I recognize when they do spray, it's always those upper high, wispy, weird, looking clouds they spray right next to, and they're very precise anymore. They'll put a small little on-off trail right next to that cloud. And those clouds
Recently,
will
I've
appear
seen.
first, or sometimes
Sorry, bud. You were cutting out, and talked over you. Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
that was it.
Oh, you were cutting out a little bit, so I apologize, brother.
Oh, no worries,
Uh,
no worries.
but yeah, yeah. I mean, I just got goosebumps from head to toe, and to me now, goosebumps is the vibration of truth. So yeah, what you're saying rings true to me, and yeah. It, tonight we had a thunderstorm here in Minnesota, and it was just wicked cool just to see how the atmosphere is totally changing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, I was thinking for the longest time that there was a nefarious entity or group that was, got their thumb on all of humanity. I no longer think that. I think most of the compartmentalized garbage that hurts humanity the most is done by just a few that have the money to do things like such things. But my point is that humans are ignorant and stupid. We tend to make mistakes over and over again. And I think that goes hand in hand with our reincarnation cycle and the whole magnetic field. Because isn't it odd that the magnetic field is a infinite yet finite field? It's a reciprocating infinity symbol.
With the 0 point, with that 0 point.
Yes, the Anu, right?
Being the key, right?
Right. That's exactly it, brother. And
usually I don't have much to say what you guys are saying because you guys word things very eloquently, or a lot better than me, but I'm all on the same page. But I have this super connection to the clouds. They perform, you know what I mean? They got those dragons and those particular type of entity clouds. I swear there's an intelligence up there, manifesting those and giving us disclosure, as gradual as it may be. It's providing excellent content that I'm using to connect with everyone, at least from around the world, and take some of the anxiety and hold positive space as we move through this process of change and transformation.
Hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about, but that was pretty eloquent in your own right, bro. I mean, you did excellent right there explaining, the elementals in our environment. In my studies are part of the environment, and the environment speaks to us all differently. And I think it's our perception and our particular desire, or not desire, but focus that gets, because I was right there with you for a long time when I was filming the sky.
Yep.
I was right there, but I was looking, outward, or looking for things. You never were. You were always looking to the elemental, or, to the elemental aspect of the clouds. And, you haven't strayed from that. And that's awesome, because you do a pretty good job at that. And I just, the whole Nibiru thing, is just awesome how Nibiru really means the place of crossing, and that's what Earth is the cross and the circle combined. And we are the cross. The light is the cross.
Very cool.
It's just amazing. You put 4 triangles and you got the Templar's cross,
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's just crazy how simple, yet just right there in our face everything is, guys. That we could just, it goes hand in hand with, if we knew everything when we got here, what would be the point, right?
Yep. Yeah, the duality and polarity is to give us contrast, to find the Anu, to find that center point. And it's to be found in the still and quiet, I think, myself. When I meditate now, I see all kinds of color and vision. Even with my open eye, when I get into that meditative state, my eyes will be open and it'll look like I'm moving through a tunnel with the lights passing, with like tunnel lights passing over my head, and I can merge all the colors of the chakra now.
That's awesome.
And then, so even with my eyes open, that's really when I really get into it. It doesn't happen all the time, but my eyes will be open and all that movement and color in my, my third eye vision will start really kicking out.
Right. And, I think anybody that strives for the truth, whether or not anybody wants to admit it, there is one truth. The one truth is that we are all one, period. all energy that is manifest in the physical world is from one source and one source only, you know? And I don't know if you've ever looked into an animal's eyes when they die, but I have. I put a dog down and I looked into my dad's eyes when he died.
Yep.
And it was the same damn look, you know? So I'm not saying that the dog was my dad or my dad was the dog. I'm saying the energy was the same.
Yep.
You know, we do have a Ba, we do have a Ka, you know, and we have to be incarnate in the Ka to achieve the Ba. The Ba is the eternal spirit above the light. The washing machine, we call this, you know, recycling machine, this reciprocating processional hyperboloid toroid of life. And it's just amazing. I love being here, but in the same breath, it's getting awful hot. How's the weather been there?
You know, perfect. I'm in a weather bubble of bliss. You know, I'm out in my environment always, and I just hold up a weather bubble of bliss here. Just nothing extreme has happened like it has around the world for so many months now.
Yes. Yeah, I heard there was some volcanoes or earthquakes up there. You're in like Oregon area, right?
Yeah, Oregon, and there is some, but like not enough to feel in that. And you know, they're mostly down south in California recently with stuff, but you know, otherwise. Well, I've been reaching out to a lot of people in my 3D environment here. I've met several other sky watchers from YouTube in my area, and I reach out to people daily. I just, you know, share at the bus stop or grocery store line, wherever, and say, hey, have you noticed the sky? And I'll drop one of my, you know, rainbow cloud videos, and they're like, whoa, no, but I'm going to check it out later. And, you know, I get a lot of subscribers just that way. So today I was talking to an apartment maintenance guy about the sky, and I was telling him about my YouTube channel. He goes, oh, really? I've watched a couple of your videos. I go, hell no, really? He goes, yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's
Yes.
pretty cool, man.
Some guy I didn't even know, just met, a random stranger.
Now that's a synchronistic encounter.
It was pretty good.
If I've ever heard of one. I mean, is there a number that follows you around or something that it kind of steers you in your life?
Yeah, well, if anything in numbers have to do, it would be the 10, 11 or the 11, 12. I see that a lot, just and with the 11, 11, but the synchronicities are different. They're not so numerical with me. It's the timing and place and my intention and things. I think we really manifest a lot of our own reality, you know?
Yeah, to a certain extent, I do believe in that. Yeah. And you know, because I've got a few videos that are just like, what the hell is that on my channel? Like, what the hell was that? And I achieved those just by something that I can't explain telling me that it was there. And I'd break up my phone and all of a sudden, boom, it's right there. And then I'd be on my way, you know. But there's other times where I filmed the sky forever and didn't get nothing, you know, didn't see anything.
Right. Now, do you believe that we're changing at a cellular level because of this photonic light potential and the UV that's coming through?
Yeah, at a DNA level, I think that's we have to. I think that's just the way it works. The radiation is what dictates what we are. So yeah, I would say that.
Exactly. I can see how chemtrails would be being used in our best interest if that can give us a type of a barrier up there that's going to let us gradually adapt and not overload our circuits in our circuitry, because it still is having that effect. Have you been noticing any people just absolutely losing their shit around you in public?
What do you mean losing? Going off or going nuts or snapping?
Yeah, going off, nuts or snapping. Yeah.
No, other than me, no.
Well, I even had one of my subscribers that lives like 8 hours away come find me overnight one night, got here, had lost his car, his wallet, and was absolutely lost as shit.
Oh, you mean losing stuff? You mean like misplacing stuff? Oh.
No, I mean both, losing their shit, just absolutely going crazy and losing their shit.
You know, I've had a lapse in memory as far as I can't remember things that I wanted to talk about, but I think that has to do with just how much shit I got going in my mind at once. But yeah, I haven't really, well, I've always lost things though, so I can't really attribute that to any recent behavior or environmental input. But yeah, it's pretty pretty profound how hot the sun is when it hits your face these days.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. And do you think there is a certain weak part of the atmosphere that floats around the Earth, and that's why they chemtrail in certain areas more than others, or do you think it's a just a
Yep.
global thing?
I believe it's that we're having issues with our magnetosphere on different days. It's slipping and creating many North Poles and South Poles where that South Atlantic anomaly is roaming around and roving around. And yeah, when we're having issues, that's when they're going to come out and spray. And they're very precise lately about how and where and when and what type of cloud they're spraying next to.
Yeah, yeah, I would have to agree with that. And it, I have asthmatic issues, and I've recently quit smoking cigarettes. And it was stupid of me to even smoke cigarettes in the first place.
Yep, yep.
But I do notice when they're chemtrailing big time, it's harder for me to breathe.
Sure.
And I do notice that. I recognize that. But there's always been something inside me, as you well know, that I always thought that the story they put out that it's solar mitigation, because if you dig deep into the chemtrail issue, you find the actual papers and the study for the solar mitigation.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off that they say it doesn't exist though. That's that's what gets my goat.
I know. Yeah.
Because it pretty much makes us look like we're crazy.
Mhm.
It's not like I care if anybody thinks I'm crazy or not, but
I don't believe in the strontium, aluminum, barium nonsense. By now, I'm sure they're not going to sit here and spray themselves with something as deadly as it can be. They're going to find something else, even if it's some type of nano or whatever. If you look around at the most delicate of life, I put a piece of watermelon out on my porch. There was like 50 gnats, tiny little miniature gnats, busting around just having a good old time. Then the ants came up and the beetles. I started looking, I go, but I'm supposed to be all afraid of these chemtrails and these freaking gnats here are thriving and surviving in front of me. And then I dug out in the garden and I pulled up 50 worms per shovelful. I'm thinking, well, those guys are doing just fine too. Come on.
well, the worms are doing just fine because they got their labyrinth underground. But you do have to recognize that the birds are less. There's less birds.
I believe it's all UV damage and UV because I can see the south side of the trees where all the bird trees are. That's UV, and UV interacts. The UVC interacts with DNA.
What about the color of stop signs in school buses?
Exactly, all of that, and just all kinds of surfaces. I left a black sweatshirt sit out on a lawn chair, partly folded up for 3 partly cloudy days. I came back and it looks like someone took a bleach paintbrush to it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you look at the top of school buses nowadays, and they got that bleach look, and everything's bleached. And I couldn't imagine what it'd be like living in Arizona right now, in the desert, like in Las Vegas and stuff. That'd be just crazy.
About what else is UV used for? It's used for a disinfectant or a sterilizer. They use UV to sterilize surgical equipment.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Sterilizing the top of this earth too in some way. I haven't had an infection, a virus, or a cold in I can't tell you how many years, 3 or 4 years now. No antibiotics. I used to have an antibiotic, it seemed like once a year way back when, and I would catch a cold and it would turn into bronchitis, even though I quit smoking cigarettes. I know that was the biggest probably help, but I don't even catch a cold or the flu anymore.
Well, I wish I could say the same. I have children and my wife is a nurse, so I've got bugs all around me as far as the germ thing.
You got it stacked against you.
Right. But recently, the reason why I quit smoking is because I was getting infections in my leg. What is it called?
Like what?
It's like dermatitis or something. But I was getting it in my leg. I was getting this infection in my leg, and I couldn't find antibiotics to get rid of it.
Yep.
And I attributed it to no circulation in my lower extremities. And I've always been an athletic person, but have you ever thought of recently? Has anybody else noticed that they're pushing the gravity thing and the how Einstein is right, and I'm talking like in the Google news feeds and stuff like that. Has anybody else noticed that?
Not me.
No? Does anybody else frequent the Google news feeds? Disintegral. Okay, you want to come on here? Yeah. Let me get the what's your email? I'll just you know Lee, Mike?
Yeah, of course. He's from London.
Yeah. Yeah, I had him on my show. Oh shoot. I don't know, last winter, I think. Yeah, it
Very
was
cool. Very cool.
yeah, he helped me out with an epiphany about Nibiru and the interdimensional aspect of our reality, how
Yeah.
the interplay between it. So yeah, I've me and him hit it off pretty well right away. So I watched the sky burn
I love it.
on, the grass glow.
There's a bunch of us who've been doing this for a long time. It's taken a long time to get this kind of disclosure. It just doesn't happen. There's like stages we go through. I remember being stuck in the fear and anxiety victimization mode over it all for like 3 years. Tried to tell all of my family all of this bad news and stuff like it was going to fix the whole problem, and did nothing but isolate, ostracize, and alienate me from everything.
Danny D, yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. Danny D, cellulitis is what I was getting. So yeah, I'm sorry. I was just, but yeah, I agree with that.
Yes,
And
like, yeah.
that's cool. I mean, our
I have a video on my channel. It's under messages from the front, graphic warning of that cellulitis in somebody's leg. So bad, he had holes, giant pus filled holes, and I did wound care on him for 7 months, and then got him into the VA to save his legs.
wow, that
I mean,
isn't that's kind of weird that we're talking about that, and you have all that information right there.
oh, go back and take a look. I mean, it's pretty horrifying. You're only gonna want to take a peek at it, how bad his legs were. But we went and got silver
You're cutting out,
bandages
brother.
and colloidal silver and Ormus and all these other wound care things to help that guy. A bunch of silver bandages and silver water, the colloidal silver,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bunch of things to help him. But we saved his feet.
But
Okay,
Lee,
hey,
what's your email? And I'll enter it in right here.
I got to cut back in right now. I'm outside. I'll come back in a minute, or I'll see you in the chat.
Okay, it's all good, brother. Thanks for coming on anyway. I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
You got it, Steve. Love.
Much love, brother. Lee, what's your email? And I'll send it to you. Who censored me? What do you mean, Valley Parks? Who censored you? The Mines was end of 2012. Rana Matrix. I don't know what you mean by that. If it opens up maggots, that's what they say. Maggots actually help heal wounds, and that's kind of odd, is it not? You'd think it'd be the opposite. Delaney, what's up, sweetheart? How are you? I have cured myself of hydran. I don't know what that is. That's cool though that you cured yourself. There's no censorship here. You can say whatever you want to say. I never. Oh, you're talking the freaking. Yeah, you're talking the what you call it? The YT police. Yes, they do that all the time. You repeat a word more than three. Spinal meningitis, kind of a big deal. Yes, that is a big deal. Like Job in the Bible, boils, cysts. Talk about every kind of squirrel. Right, right. Yeah, I know, Valley. I understand now. It's the YouTube police, and they, as a creator, they send you a monthly letter, and in that monthly letter, this last month, they stated that we will not have to hang on. I'm not. What's Disintegral? Where'd you go, brother? You need to give me your email. Sent you the emails. I know. Oh, let me go. I'm gonna go on my email here, guys, on my phone. So bear with me. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, there he is. Okay. Yes, brother. I'm sending it to you right now. Right now. Okay, so I can go. Shit. Let me see. There we go. Sorry, guys. My phone's about to freaking die. I'm gonna have to go out and get my charger. It's in my truck, which sucks. There we go. Copy. Okay, now I'm gonna go in my email here. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I don't hope you bear with me because I've got a couple good things I want to bring up. I don't know how to back this up. So I want to go here. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I'm not much of a tech guy here. Please forgive me. Yada, yada. What the hell? How do I go to? There we go. Gmail. I'm working on it, Lee. Sorry, bud. Come on. Oh, I already sent it once. What am I doing? I could do it right here. I'm so stupid. Oh, Lavette responded, I've got the kids tonight. It is loud and I got my hands full. We are playing with bubbles right now. Can we do it Monday night? Lavette's awesome. So yeah, guys, Lavette was willing. You're sure? I'm not gonna say no to Lavette, right? That's awesome. Thanks for responding. She's awesome. I love Lavette. She's pretty cool. We all have our little quirks and ways we look at things, right? So it's pretty cool. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys are familiar with CF Apps. He's going to be on my show here soon. So I'm really stoked about that. Chuck's pretty cool. He's got a lot of useful information as far as the pyramids and ancient history and whatnot. You guys will get a kick out of him. Here we go. I'm sending you the email right now, Disintegral. So let me do this. I promise it's coming. Here we go. There it goes. So Disintegral, you should be getting the email right forthright as we speak. And I hope people have stayed with me through all of that nonsense I just put you through. And I appreciate you staying here. And hey, there are here. Got an email, just said R. Yeah, I sent you the email because I was going to go back. But yeah, I got you. I know myself did not die more than once. I know myself did not die more than once. I don't know what you mean by that, but no tech here. Good one, Padma. What are you guys talking about? Sprays are making sky white. Matrix is building a new heaven. Nice. That's a good thought. But yeah, you wake up in the morning, and if you get up before the sun comes up, you see the silver sky. And that's kind of cool. Or not cool, but kind of for truth, you make progress. Thank you. What happened to Aaron? Aaron is doing experiments with his astro. Oh, here we got Lee, I think. Lee is with me. Disintegral, what's up, brother? What up, buddy? How are you? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can hear you, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just trying to work this thing out. I haven't used Zoom before, so just adapting. I'm good. I'm really good. It was lovely to hear Mike earlier.
Oh yeah, Mike's he's
always got really upbeat energy. I love it.
Yes, that's what I was trying to articulate. Perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect analogy of him. Upbeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's the weather been over there?
It's been a bit crazy. It's kind of been oscillating between torrential downpour and boiling hot weather. So we've had the hottest day of the year so far. It was 37, 38 degrees in London. The other day, what was it? Thursday. So it was quite ridiculous. I don't think I've had it experienced it that hot here since I've lived in London. So it was a bit much. I prefer cooler climate myself. I prefer to be a little bit on the cold side rather than too hot. So you can always wrap up and stuff, but if it's too hot, you can't peel your skin off. So
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, you can only take so many clothes off before you get thrown in the brink or into the nut ward because you're running around naked. Right.
All right.
But yeah, Padma says, who's on here? Love the voice, and I couldn't agree more. I like the accent and whatnot. The Londoner is pretty prevalent in your diet.
It's been a while since we last spoke, but everyone's been going on that. I mean, I've even had a chance to chat to Mikey a few times as well. Over the last, since meeting him and stuff, it was really, really cool. And just generally trying to meet as many, even if it's online, it doesn't matter. If you hear the voice, it makes all the difference. That's what we need that's all we need really to connect with each other. I noticed that I've been doing a lot of personal work and personal tests and experiences and trying different things out, coming to lots of different understandings, if was probably the better word of certain things. Have just lots of little discoveries about myself, but also realizing that everyone else is having the same thing around the same time that I am, and that I'm noticing how different people are having these kind of very similar challenges and trials happening at the same time, maybe in completely different ways, but the same energy of those trials, of those challenges are there. It's been incredible. I've been in and out of hospital this year. It's been a bit crazy, but I've just had an issue with my colon apparently. But aside from that, I've been in terms of my physical health, I've been pretty good. I've been losing a lot of weight, generally trying to get more healthy. But yeah, you guys were talking a lot of stuff about the clouds and the sky earlier, and I just kept thinking, I want to get in there and say stuff too. We've all been watching it, and I think we know that in order to really start to see or have even the vaguest insight into what's going on up there, you need to be watching for a while, like longer than, not just a cursory glance or looking at it for a minute or two. We're talking maybe like 20 minutes or more at the most before you even start to kind of, I mean, for me, that's how it kind of started. But I've noticed now that I can just look up and within a matter of seconds, stuff starts to emerge for me. And it's really, really interesting how there's an element where there is some kind of consciousness or beings or something up there that is aware that we are watching and they're watching us. And it's kind of like this, we're both kind of looking across this immense ocean of air, basically. We know that even the sky itself is like a kind of liquid anyway. So, I've definitely come to this kind of realization that a lot of what we think, particularly within the truth community and particularly with the Skywatch community, when we talk about chemtrails and stuff, and we know that there's a whole fear aspect about it, and we know that there's a whole kind of positive way of looking at it too, and I think it's really cool that some of us are able to turn away from that negative slant on it, and actually start trying to see the potentialities, the pronoia, I think Mike would say. I've even considered that myself, to the point where I'm starting to now, I've kind of gone from not knowing what chemtrails are, to finding out about chemtrails, to denying them, and to agreeing that they are there, and thinking, oh my God, they're there, and getting all caught up in that. And now I'm on the other side of that, thinking, actually, I'm not even sure they're real. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure they are what we think they are. The more and more I think about it, I've been looking into things like the sky grid, and how a lot of people, when they're taking psychedelic drugs and stuff,
I'm getting goosebumps, brother.
right, they'll actually see the sky grid up there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, they saw it under those conditions, but I'm usually watching it with nothing more than a joint, and marijuana is not exactly known for its
right, for its
having out of this world visuals, but
right.
I will say one thing: it does connect. It does somehow bring about a calmness and a sensitivity that isn't there when you're not stoned. So, being in that space, I then start to have these kind of almost like third eye activations and things happening. I can feel like something up there is trying to connect with me. Sometimes I feel like I'm having whole full-blown conversations in my mind with somebody else. That's it. And I know it's some of the beings that I'm actually watching up there, the ones which are, I mean, the way I see it, there are many, many different types of phenomena and anomalies going on up there. And one of the ones that fascinates me the most is the idea of cloaked ships and transparent, gigantic, seemingly transparent objects and structures which are seemingly floating above us, or no idea about their altitude, or whether they're in space, if space exists, or any of that. But what I do know is that there is some kind of there are many different kinds of things flying above us all the time. It's like it may as well be something out of The Fifth Element, where they're all living in skyscrapers, and so all the car traffic is literally flying around. It's almost the same kind of thing. It's like there's lots of air traffic, but we just don't see it. But we hear it. We can hear it sometimes. I definitely think that. And then as they're flying, it's almost as if they project an airplane in the sky to fly, as if it's flying over you, to give this thing, oh look, that must be where the noise is coming from, that plane over there. But that plane is not even real. It's just a projection. What's really moving, what's really causing those huge noises is, if you expand your scale out a bit more,
Are you talking that super loud jet noise and it goes away right away?
The super loud one that can actually go on for ages. I think some of them do go away right away, but
instantly. I mean, you hear and then it's gone.
No, I know that those could be those things, but I mean, they could be jets or whatever. But the ones I hear are these huge. It's not like, it's so much bigger than a jet. Anything that's like a flying machine, it's almost as if something massive is just gliding by, and as they maneuver and change around. I mean, it's weird, because when I look at it, I get transparent overlays and things popping out at me all the time when I'm looking at this stuff, and eventually I get to see a glimpse of what might be there, but I don't. Even then, it's only partial, and it's like you're almost like because you're looking through it. A lot of it's transparent, so you're literally looking through it and seeing the other side of it. And so then you've got all of these lines and shapes that are popping out. They don't make any sense, and the reason why they don't make sense is because we're looking through it like a prism. And they're and you're literally looking through them, and we don't know what their shape or structure is. So there's this kind of element where we're seeing all these lines going off into different things, but they don't make any sense. And then we call them like a chemtrail, or those grid lines and stuff. I'm at that point now where I don't believe that they are chemtrails. I think the chemtrail thing is less common than people think it is. And I do believe that a lot of it is actually designed to cover up another, the great many other things going on up there in the sky. It's like, if we all focus on chemtrails, we're not going to be seeing anything else up there. So, I've noticed there is a large portion of the Skywatch community that just go around and say everything's a fucking chemtrail. and it's not. In fact, probably, in my opinion, personally, after observing it all this time, I think they're less common than people say they are. I actually think a lot of these things, the way I see it now, is that we're kind of it's almost like being underwater, and we're underwater. And as we look up, these things are gliding through our atmosphere, and they're creating disturbance patterns and waves through the water. But it's happening at a much bigger time and space scale. So we're literally witnessing this stuff kind of billowing out in front of us gradually over time. But it's because these things are so big, you know, it's incredible. You know, these lines, the chemtrails and stuff themselves, to me, they look like the bottom of a ship or some kind of ceiling. I don't know, but it's odd. It's odd to see them anyway.
I think what you just described there is exactly what keeps us from really finding the truth, because and I'm not saying that watching the sky is wrong or none of that. For me, I started looking inward now for the last couple months, and I found more doing that than I ever did looking up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I'm serious there, Lee. I mean, you know where I was just a year ago, a year and a half ago, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been using it mainly as because I'm just sat here and it's just pointing in one direction all the time. I can just leave it in the corner of my thing, just have it there, and then I just get on with whatever I need to get on with. And I've been doing a lot inner stuff too. I mean, I don't think you can do. I mean, yes, the looking outside of ourselves is good, and it's great to see, and you know, that's part of the whole journey of being, isn't it? You know, we're supposed to be experiencing these things. These experiences are meant to somehow shape us. So whatever we do, whether we're looking outside or inside, we're still doing pretty much the same thing. It's just a matter of how much of our own focus is going on there, and how much of our real selves are we engaging with. You know, like there's a surface of us, and
right.
then
there's an illusion, and there's an illusion of who we think we are, and then there's a real spiritual, tangible thing or entity that we really are, and it's hard to recognize that. And yeah, you're spot on with that. It's just it's the illusion of the delusion that we are disillusioned in, and we need to come full circle, and you know, like you said, is do the inner work. And it kind of sounds cliche. It you know, everybody says it. Everybody says, yeah, you got to go in to get to get anywhere, but there's no more bigger truth to me than that, because I never thought, I thought it was all nonsense when I heard it at first. You know, when I thought Nibiru was a planet coming to kill us, and there was huge planets in the sky, you know, that Sam Hoffman big planet theory thing, and the Steve Olson thing, and you know, and I'm not saying that any of it's wrong. Whatever path you take to get to where you got to go, and that you think you need to be, that's the path you need to take. But you know, in my experience, it's odd that the word Nibiru is what triggered me, and it's spot on that it brought me to the esoteric instead of the exoteric. And
right.
you know, you were a big part in me realizing that Nibiru could mean a lot of things, you know, but it took me actually doing the research and trying to figure out what it says in the cuneiform, you know, in what instances they use the word. And, you know, then I really realized that Sitchin was using his interpretation of it to sell his books.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's that simple. It's that simple. And I didn't want to admit that at first, because I aligned myself with the belief, you know. And
I mean, all of this work, they're just people's interpretations of their experiences of being, and everything they're finding out during that process. And it's the same for everybody in that regard, you know. But I think part of the inner work, the thing I find the inner work is really good for, and the outer work as well, it's a combination, because I find that in order to understand my outside, I have to have a better understanding of my inside, if that makes sense. So it's like, as I've gotten closer to who I really am, and gradually remembering more of myself, it's almost as if the world then begins to pull back different veils, and it's like it begins to uncover things to you that you never thought were possible, because you were so programmed to believe the world was one specific way of being, that all of the things that we've learned and taught are true. And we see the reality that we experience through the lens of those perceptions. And we've all been kind of programmed to look at it in a certain way. And each time, and then there's a authoritative source that decides which way is the way we should be looking at reality, and then that guides us, and then we've been following it blindly for God knows how long. And that, we've got all of these different sources of knowledge and understanding available to us that we've probably been, we haven't really been accessing, but now that we are, through the esoteric stuff, stuff starts to open up in that way. But I think the only other thing I'd say that's really necessary as part of that process is that openness and willingness to challenge everything you believe, everything you think you know, throw it all out, throw every single thing out and start again. I mean, not in the start again, like just throw everything out, but in the sense that everything that sculpts and shapes our perspective of reality needs to be put into a box and pushed to one side, and we need to be able to then have this kind of view of the world that is not tarnished or shaped by any of those influences. And that's really hard to do. And I think that's where the inner work comes in, when you begin to strip back all of that programming, all of those veils that have been placed on us, or that we, in fact, may have agreed to have placed on us. I mean, if some people see it that way, it begins to make sense. Things start to become, I don't know, gradually make sense of things. And I found that,
that was beautiful, brother. That was beautiful. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. That's exactly how I feel. And and Aaron stated, it's the inner that becomes the outer and vice versa, and it's funny that Aaron says that, because that's exactly what, and people knock me and kind of flutter their eyes and roll their eyes at me, because I consider Phil my mentor. I consider Phil to be somebody that is at bliss with the whole situation that we find ourselves in. I mean, he's totally comfortable in his skin, and I don't know if anybody else recognizes that, but I do.
He was very laid back, very kind of there.
Yeah, yet he's forthright with his opinion, and to him, it's not an opinion; it is what it is. Because if you're enlightened, you have all the information of the cosmos at your whim. That's what the whole elongated skull thing's about. And recently, when you said something about the looking inward, and I had this flash in my mind of the pictograph or the hieroglyphic of the Aten, Akhenaten and his family, with the sun shining down on him, and them venerating or praising the sun. And if you really look into your history, you'll see that he was the very first to do that. And that is when shit went to hell in a handbasket. That's when it started going downhill. And that's why the Egyptians tried scrubbing his existence off the face of the map of our history. Because every statue of his was defaced. He's considered the heretic king. And even you watch that the History Channel just had an expose on Akhenaten in KV55, and they said that it wasn't him in the tomb. So you can see that bloodline still has pull over the narrative, if you follow me on that.
Yeah.
So if there is a malevolent force in our world, I believe it started there, and I believe that royal, quote unquote, bloodline, and all about royalty over there. You know what I'm saying? That bloodline is still around, and they can hold on to that knowledge of their past ancestry through either, hidden means or by holding on to their conscious memory. And there's ways to do it. It says it in the tablets. It says it in the couple other scriptural or religious texts. Or
Right.
what do you think about that? That about Akhenaten and the demise of the inner work versus the outer work? Because the monotheism, you think, okay, well, he was the first one to venerate one god instead of a bunch of gods.
Right.
Well, the bunch of gods thing was that you could be a god by becoming one with God,
Right.
And that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, to me, it's a kind of like saying, don't worship the self, worship this thing. And it's almost kind of like, it's a bit like, this all connects with the royal family as well. So bear with me. It's like we are taught to worship and gather together because being in numbers really increases that energy and the energy of focus and concentration. And then what happens is we have a priest or whatever at the pulpit, and they become the conduit. So all of our energy and veneration is going to them, and then they in turn are the thing between us and God. So they become the masters of that particular thing. And then so it becomes, I think in that position, I guess in some ways you'd say it's more precarious, because if you've got all of that energy and power, you'll be much more capable of manifesting a reality. And so there's that element where they need to be very careful about their speech, their language, the things they say, because whatever comes out of their mouth is an expression of intention. And so I was going to go into how the Queen, if you notice when she speaks, she will never say something in the first person. She'll always say it in the third person. So she'll always say we or one, and never I. She'll never possess something.
Really?
Yeah.
You just gave me the chills, dude. I just got the chills up my spine when you said that.
Yeah, I'm getting them back. Thank you for that.
Wow.
So if you ever want an example of how to speak, look at how the Queen speaks and wonder why she doesn't say anything, any I am statements.
Oh, dude, man.
The moment she makes them, because with all that energy and focus she's getting from the adulation of her fans, the worship, basically, the focus, the energy, the concentration, it's all going to her. She's a figurehead, and she is literally the one being able to write reality, because she's getting all of that information, all of that data, all of that energy going to her in the form of an energetic quality.
I just had an epiphany. That's why they made up the reptilian thing, huh?
Well,
to steer us away from what the truth really is that they are just heretics that grab the knowledge and are huddling it away.
Well, if you consider the fact that, I don't know. I personally, I do believe there are interdimensional and alternative types of beings out there that are not necessarily human. I don't know how they fit into the puzzle exactly, but that's another thing altogether. But I do want to say that, if you pay attention to what the Queen says, and you consider that language, and English in particular, is a form of spelling or spell casting.
Yes.
So it's like, she is saying things. She has to be very careful. This is why we need to be more careful with our language, with what we're thinking, what we're saying, because we even think in English. So we're even thinking in I am statements a lot of the time. We've somehow been taught to become this solely, isolated
egocentric, Yaldabaoth feeding.
Right. And
yeah.
So this is what's happening, and we in turn are basically agreeing by consensus our reality, and they create it through their language as well, and we create it through that language. But I think what's happening is people, us, as examples, are waking up. We're realizing the power of our own divinity, and that actually all we need to do is no longer agree to the consensus of reality. We just form our own reality. We can do it on our own. But if we do it in numbers, that makes it even more powerful. And, all you need to do is just be around lots of people who have similar effects. We don't need to all agree exactly on the same thing. We do, all we know, I mean, this is one of the things I do with my channel. My main thing is to, instead of really, I've got my opinions on what those things are, but at the same time, I also know that it's important to focus on the things that get people questioning, get people looking at the world differently. And those are the things that we need to focus on in terms of those questions. If we do that, then we have something to offer. You know, look at that. It doesn't look exactly like what you'd expect it to do. You know, just basically show them very odd things that get them to question. And the more there is, the more they'll question. So you know, I can't tell people what they are. I don't know what they are exactly, but what I do know is my experiences are telling me a number of different things. And so I have a very broad and open perspective on it. I'm certainly not a fan of labeling a lot of these things demons and stuff. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a very irresponsible way of trying to do stuff. I think, yeah, that's one of the entities that lives around this area, and they inhabit the bird. It's a will-o'-the-wisp. And this is the other thing, as I've been in my time over the last year or so, I've been getting
Dude,
more.
it's so weird you just said that, because the language of the birds has been on my mind.
Yes, I've been reading that as well myself, and I've been getting in tune with nature, talking to the birds. Literally, just all I've been doing is repeating what I hear from them back.
Dude, that's what I do all day long.
Yeah, they love it.
I could bust out a bunch of whistles right now for you.
But
You know?
they'll be like I mean, one of the things I noticed with that thing is you'll notice that there will be a bird that doesn't sing like all the other birds. It's not doing its same repetitive thing. It's almost as if it's talking to you or trying to get your attention. So eventually I started to turn my attention towards this particular bird, and I started to listen. And then eventually I asked him what his name was, and he said it was Willy Woo. And then I was like, okay. And then but his full name, as he told me, was Willy Woo Shh. But obviously birds don't have lips. And then I realized, and then I had a few additional things, and eventually I came upon research. I was looking into nature spirits and stuff, and I saw will-o'-the-wisp, and I thought, oh my God, that's what that bird is trying to say. It's literally singing. It's literally talking to me, telling me its name is Will-o'-the-wisp in bird language. And it was crazy, absolutely insane. And this being has been hanging around, and you know, I'm having beautiful, wonderful experiences.
Yeah, I think that's the connection that we need to reconnect with is just plain old Earth, you know, nature, and whatever it encompasses, whatever nature is in your area, whether it be, you know, deer, whatever it is.
I'm just in the middle of the city, and it's just a small little park. The last bit of green left of a once was an estate that was here. It used to have a few acres of green land and you know, private gardens. This park is what's left of that. And I think there are beings and stuff even in urban places that protect the environment of those green spaces.
Yeah, I would think there would have to be, because if there's guardian angels of humans, just imagine how many there are for Earth.
Oh, many. I think that's that's what we were meant to be.
We are meant to be stewards of the Earth.
We're the in between. We're meant to be the in betweeners. We're meant to have a foot in the astral and a foot.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
So,
that's exactly.
I think we get to realize that we do have those feet in the, you know, we have more than 2 feet.
we are the place where heaven and earth collide.
Right. We're basically the
cross and circle combine.
The fulcrum point of reality.
Nice.
Between the macro and the micro. So we're like the middle point of perception. I think that's the whole purpose. That's where our consciousness lies, on that crossing of consciousness, that crossing of perception.
There's the cross. The cross is everywhere.
That's our perception. That's who we are. We are the pinnacle, the very point where the micro and the macro meet, and we're right there, smack bang.
The Allspark of the Transformer movies is what we create with, with the spiritual realm and our physical, what do they call it? The physical, is it Shakti or I can't remember. I hate it when I do have these brain farts. But have you noticed, like, I don't know, ringing in your ear anymore? Because we talked about that in the past.
Oh man,
Has that gone away, or is it increased?
I have a whole thing about that. I've done some experiments with that, so I'll have a little bit of a thing to tell you about that. Yes, I still get the ringing. It goes and comes. It hasn't been so loud recently. I think we're being given a break for the time being because of what we're experiencing physically. There's a lot of astrological stuff happening right now, I think, and a lot of us are going through the ringer one way or the other. We're either having overwhelmingly difficult times, or having completely unreal stuff happening to us, which just blowing our minds. For me, it's the latter at the moment, which is great, because the last couple of years have been a real ride. But in terms of the noise, I've made a few associations. I associate it with the Schumann resonance. I do think there is a connection there. I also think there's a connection with telepathy and the development of our psychic abilities. And the reason I say that is because I've paid close attention to it, and sometimes you'll know that there's almost like you could probably even bring it to the surface if you wanted to, and you could bring that noise to the fore. And if you pay attention to it, you'll notice it will be a certain tone. Then if you change your thoughts and you think of somebody so like change it to your mother or a brother or your lover or whatever, and you'll notice that another tone, or the tone will either change or another tone will also come in and will either play on top of the other tone or will take over from that tone. And then basically, to me, that's how you attune to people. And so I asked a couple of other people to try the same thing, and they noticed the change too. And I think each of those tones that we hear when they change basically connect to the people we are thinking about. And I think that's how we can begin to attune to people. So if I'm doing a tarot reading or anything, I will literally think of the person. I mean, usually if I'm in a voice chat with somebody, I'm hearing their voice. So to me, I'm already connecting with them on a real-time level because I'm hearing their voice. So their resonance is coming through to me. But if they're not around to hear, I can just think of them, and I'll notice how the tone will change. And I personally see that as the beginning, the burgeoning aspects of some kind of telepathic ability that human beings are developing. That's how I see it now. I see it as a very positive thing. It's not. I think it was scary at first because I don't think we were aware of it so much, and there was all these medical associations attached to it, tinnitus and the nightmare of tinnitus. That it's fearful. But as I've gotten to know this tone, and gotten to know how it seems to change according to different situations and scenarios and thoughts.
It's heart coherent, is it not?
I believe it is. Yes, I think it connects you to people, and I think it's the beginning of something. I think we're going to see a lot more of that stuff.
Maybe that's the atonement that's spoken of in the Bible.
Oh. Please expand upon that. I'd love to know more. I'm not as well versed in the Bible.
Well, I only know a little excerpts here and there of the Bible, but there was atonement that we will all have to atone for our transgressions and whatever, the judgment of ourselves, the atonement that we align ourselves with in the heavens, or in the physical is how or what we can expect to in return. That it's like you have to You have
Change
to pay
the O
it.
to a
You have to
U.
pay it forward without expecting anything in return. Selflessness, living through the heart, as well as knowing what the creation is and what it's for, and like you said, the crossing of the finite and the infinite is only in the transient, which is us. The squaring of the circle is the formula for ascension, and the atonement is
The
finding the
attunement.
intunement.
The atonement is the attunement. We need to
Yes,
change the O to a U and
yes, yes,
and
yes,
attune to each other. So
yes.
the
Very
O
true.
is the O is us, and the U is the other is the basically it's all about the difference between one observer and another observer, A and B. So
Right.
like you're the O and they're the U.
No
The
two eyes are going to see the same thing the same,
Right.
and that's because we're all on a different frequency, or not frequency, but different perceptual level than the next. I mean,
Right. But when
maybe
you come
that's what
together, when you come together and you're prepared and open enough with each other, and you attune to each other, it's like your realities merge. And so what was possible in their reality now becomes possible in yours. What was possible in your
Right.
reality now becomes possible in theirs. It's like every time if I've spent time with somebody, I have found that what I see in the sky then becomes visible to the other person, and then they can see it too. It's really crazy. Whoever I spend time with, I notice how my reality begins to merge with theirs. I'm not, I'm quite aware of the phenomena of my reality and how my reality manifests. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I know that that's a me thing. So now it's just, so if everybody finds out what their own personal reality anomalies are, and get to know them as triggers, it's almost like being in a dream. You know what the things in the dream are that represent, you're in a dream. This is like almost like the inversion of that, right? We're in a reality that is fluid and we can manifest, and we all have our own little things that we can develop in terms of a anomaly or a phenomena that will happen on a regular basis in our life. And I think a lot of us in the Sky community are probably doing that. We're literally having we are key to what's happening there. Our consciousness is necessary for it to happen. And so some of it, as we're all kind of putting our focus on the sky, we always need to remember how much we also have a part in what's going on up there. So we do have a part to play, but
right.
I'm not exactly sure where.
You're familiar with the Kabbalah? And the maxims and the maxims in it, the sayings, I think they're called maxims, right?
I only have a very
or axioms. They're called axioms, I think.
Yeah, I have a passing understanding of the Kabbalah, but from my understanding, a lot of the stuff in the Kabbalah is also echoed in other places too. So it's highly likely we've all picked up little bits here and there from lots of different sources. And when you start to look into one particular one, you realize that there's so many other things from the other things, and yeah. So,
but
anyway.
you be mindful of the cosmos and what's above, but always keep your focus, or be focused on your feet, so you don't
stay grounded.
Yeah,
Stay
so you
grounded.
don't right.
Have an anchor.
Realize that the relative is just as important as the absolute, and don't get caught up in the absolute, or else you'll get cast upon the rocks and torn asunder due to your own folly, due to your upward gaze. I think that's how it goes.
Well, isn't
I chop that up, but
that's basically the story of scientism right there. That is modern science for you right there.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And the whole separation of church and state, or spiritual and scientific, in house. Right. If it's not repeatable in a tangible physical sense, then it's not real.
It's all about, yes, because it's all about absolutes, isn't it? If we can't define it, then it doesn't exist. Therefore, we ignore it. That's their attitude towards it. It's like, give us one one free
Hey,
year.
you said something about the tarot, and when I talked to you last, you were just getting into that. How I want you to, I have to go grab my phone charger because I'm sure people are trying to communicate with me, and my phone died.
That's
So,
fine.
yeah, talk about the tarot, like go into the Fool card, and then your interpretation of that, and see, I should be back by the third one, I think. But I mean, how's that going for you, buddy? I'll be right back.
Sure. Oh, well, the
Sorry,
tarot.
bud.
Oh no, man, I'm fine. I don't know the tarot. I wouldn't be able to go into that much detail right now, but not without looking at the stuff. I'm still learning, and I've been doing it since 2013. But it's I don't know, man. I think it's you get the basics. Like there's the archetypes, the primary archetypes, and they have a basis also in astrology, and you'll notice how those archetypes actually stem in lots of and have equivalents and parallels in lots of other different cultures. So eventually, that's one of the reasons why tarot is such an interesting tool to use, because of its connections with so many other things. Like you could use the tarot in a sense as a representation of the astrology. You've got I can't remember all of them. I know the Chariot is Cancer. I'm a Cancer. Well, in the tropical astrology, I'm a Cancer anyway. I think in sidereal, I'm a Gemini, which is interesting. But yeah, from my understanding, because I love Levette as well, so I've been following her methods of doing it, that kind of intuitive astrology stuff, and she's just blown my mind. She's given me a completely new and understanding of it. Really, really helpful there. Knowing that we've been double crossed. We're all born with a cross to bear, but for some reason what they've done is they've shifted things about, so we've ended up with a false cross. That's very interesting. You wanted me to talk about the Fool card. So the Fool card is the beginning of the journey, basically, and so the Fool can be perceived in a dualistic sense. You have the Fool being a being of joy that is full of frivolity and laughter and without a care. But the other side of the false cross, the other side of the Fool would be that being too caught up in joy and not being in the moment and mindful of yourself in that moment. You can step in the wrong direction. You could fall over, you can trip up, you can have accidents. So the Fool itself is like a dualistic card. It's the beginning of the journey, and it's about trying to keep a balance between that side of it. And there's a lot more to the Fool than the dualism, obviously, but usually each archetype has a dualism, that a polarity, I guess, is the better term for it. So each card will have a polarity, and it's about when you're stepping forth on your new journey, action without foresight, yes. So you kind of get to that point where you're stepping forth on that journey, and it's like the left path, the right path, you've got the middle way, that kind of thing. It's always, I've definitely found how that links in recently with this idea. I've been thinking about this idea that we're always given a choice between two things, but then all the other options are hidden away from us. It's always one or the other. You can't have anything. There's no other option, just those two things, one or the other. That's one of the things that I've noticed recently. It's round earth, flat earth. It's the same.
Inner earth, outer earth, right, inner work, outer work.
So you realize and that's one of the things, you realize there's more options. You realize that we don't really know exactly, and we've got to, there's certain things we've got to kind of leave open for now. But anyway,
that was beautiful, brother. That was beautiful. Do you notice that the Fool card, how he's sitting there and he's got his dog by his side and they're both looking up?
Yeah, it's almost like there's a few ways of looking at that. You could say
Sirius and Orion.
Is it? I would need to look at I don't actually have a Rider Waite deck, so I have a completely different deck. Funnily enough, it's the Knights. It's a deck based on the Knights Templar, so it's
Really awesome.
it's a really good deck. I've had it for it was my first deck.
Did you know the Templar cross the angle of the how the rays come off, or how I say rays because I now believe that it or know that it's the light that is the cross comes from, but the Templar cross is the pendulum on a grandfather clock. The
Right.
pendulum swings 30 degrees, 30 degrees, and
Oh, right.
yeah.
A bit like the Freemasonry kind of
Yes.
thing as well. Yeah. The other thing about the threes is that it also, in pagan traditions, that you've got the three. It's like it's basically like an arrow. So you've got the 2 points meeting in the middle, and then you've got the straight line down there too. That is like it's a Trinity thing. So the Trinity, I believe, is actually much older than Christianity. So
Yes.
that concept's been around for a very long time. I think the fourth then becomes a matter of, well, if you've got the left, the right, and the middle way, you've also got all the other options as well. So if you get to the third way, you realize there's more than one third way. And you realize, and we're at the fourth world, the end of the fourth world, it's like, it's many paths, not just one path, it's many paths, many paths, which basically is equivalent to however many living beings and experiences are happening right now at this very moment. So it's as many paths as that. So
Right. You sound like you're getting there as well, brother. That's awesome, man. I mean, I see the
I
fool
don't even know
card
where
as
the stuff's coming from. It's just coming out of the ether.
yeah, it is.
It's
Isn't
coming
it odd how that works? It's just like wow. Yeah,
right.
I was
Yeah,
just
it
gonna
just
say
comes
that.
through you, doesn't it? It's not even me or you speaking half the time. It's something else that's coming it's like it's almost a bit like the Matrix, our mind or brains being connected up energetically.
It's just how all these musical artists can get these lyrics and they sound so spot on, and how these actors can or not actors but these writers of movies can get these movies. Everybody thinks it's their own thought, but I think it's actually the divine at work through all of us, and
Right.
it's our thought, but it's also our thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean
And
by
we've
that?
had those, and we may have had those thoughts before, and those thoughts may have had a basis in reality before. I mean, this is what I believe. It's like I've been drawing a lot lately. What I do is I try and get a basic structure of what I'm seeing in the sky, just quick pencil drawing, and then I fill in the gaps later. And I just go, it's like a stream of consciousness kind of it's like doodling, I guess you could say, but I try to do, it's more, a bit more focused than that. And I've noticed that as I'm drawing stuff, it's like as I'm drawing it, it's almost like I'm getting almost guidance while I'm drawing, just as I'm doing that, it's so weird. It's like it's flowing right in front of me. And it's like I'm drawing, and then suddenly while I'm drawing, I usually will sit here with my pen and pad, and then I'll have the sky open on in a window. I'll look up, and then I'll notice that something in the sky is beginning to form that looks like my drawing. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous. It could be considered pareidolia, but through my experience over the last few years, I've personally, this is a personal opinion and experience, so it's not really for debate or an argument, but I've noticed it reacts and interacts with me. So I could be drawing and it wants me to draw it. It's really weird. Because I use that.
I've heard several people say that even about photos that are already taken.
Right. As if they're moving. Do you know what? It's that experience.
The Harry Potter thing,
Have you ever had, here's another thing. Have you ever had a thing where you've been on a web camera with somebody in the last year or two, and as you're speaking to them, you begin to see almost lots of different versions of them happening right in front of you? An old version, a young version, and an even older version type of thing, as if as you're looking at them, like you're having some kind of time shift and you're seeing them almost shape shifting in front of you, but they're not. I don't know if they're shape shifting knowingly, or whether or not it's actually some kind of time space temporal distortion happening right in front of you.
I haven't experienced that, but I think in the macro sense of that, I think that's what the Mandela effect really is. It's the divine cluing us in that time is of no no relevance if. And to wrap our minds around it, I think the whole Mandela thing is due to that whole environmental feedback loop that is, maybe disrupted by certain scenarios of certain machines. I don't know, but you know what I mean by that. But that's the closest I can actually come to an experience, because I know for a fact Berenstain Bears, it wasn't Berenstain, it was Stein.
Yeah, that was one for me as well. Yeah, that's definitely one that I noticed, and the only reason I know that is because my specific Sky Television was something in Britain back in the 90s, in particular the 80s and 90s. It was quite popular, and we had it, and it was the first time I'd ever had access to American shows and stuff, without it being on the 4 terrestrial channels. So I watched, as a kid, we watched the children's channel, and I remember the Berenstain Bears as an animation, and there was a cartoon of it. So,
Goosebumps. Woo!
So when I never read the books. I didn't know that they were books. I knew them as a cartoon first. So
yeah, me too. I never read the books either. I never read any books until the Emerald Tablets, actually.
Right. So,
call me a whatever, but I could not sit still long enough to read a book. Right.
Same here. I had a great deal of trouble learning to read and write. My attention span was, apparently I've had a label of adult ADHD given to me now because of the experiences I had as a child. Now, I didn't know that. I don't think anybody knew what was going on at the time. But there were no facilities. There was no extra help. If you were just seen as a child that was slow.
That's a common thread that links a lot of people that are in this community. You know that?
Right.
Scatterbrain, hyperactive.
But it doesn't mean. But the thing is, I think often there's this association that they're treated as stupid, And well, we're not. I think we're just wired differently, and because we're wired differently, that means we learn and experience things differently. And
who's to say that we're any worse off than the next? I think we're better off.
Right, and they think a one size fits all is the best solution. And obviously, it's being proved that it isn't, because everyone's experience is entirely unique. So, puts play to that idea. One size does not fit all.
Yes, unless of course you're talking about baseball caps and some company that's trying to make them fit all. But yeah, but that just goes back to the point of if there was a pill that we could all take to see the same thing, what good would it be? Why would you want to take it? First of all, because you'd just be another member of another herd.
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, it depends what you're looking for, I guess. I mean, there is a lot of comfort in that, in a tribal mentality, and I think there are aspects. There are aspects to the tribalism which are very appealing, especially that sense of community, the closer environmental connection, those kinds of aspects. But once again, there are all these different ways of thinking. I think we're at that level where we're now realizing our multidimensionality, so to speak, and realizing that we don't just have a relationship in this reality. With this reality, there are other things going on beyond our conscious now, which we are not really able to be, we can probably shift and change our conscious perspective to those situations if we tried, but
the third rock from the sun, the 3D construct we're in, it limits us in our perceptual, visual, and auditory capabilities to an extent that is the I don't know what you want to call it, the the cap it's put on us so
it gives you the
we
absolute-
can't rise above the creation without suffering the creation.
right. Yeah.
I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. I think by there's so many ways you could look at that. I think by
you know, the suffrage movement, just by that, the way it's worded there. I mean,
everything has got some strange, delicious, ironic twist to it, doesn't it? You know,
yes, everything does.
And that's the sense of humor of this system, whatever has been going on, and it gets echoed. You know, now in the UK we have our own mock Trump. Now we have our own little Tweedledee and Tweedledum type of
Trump Pence, man. Trump Pence is sounding.
And we know that was totally designed. Of course, it was going to happen. That was the point. That was part of the narrative. They wanted the UK to have a prime minister that was like almost a body double for Trump. It was a perfect thing. They had to be done because they love fucking with us. And
there's no coincidence that it's Trump Pence either, bro.
Right? It's ridiculous.
There is no coincidences, and it's either a big sick freaking joke or some deep sinister plan, or it's just divinely humorous.
This is what I'm going to say, where the scale of your perception is so important in the whole game. Like, you could, if down here on Earth in the 3D, it's very easy to feel victim and powerless until, you know, but from a higher dimensional realm, or the astral plane or something or anything like that, we also have energetic counterparts and aspects to ourselves that we're not entirely aware of here and now. And those things are always constantly working too. So there are things we do behind the scenes that we don't know yet, you know.
Listen to this statement here, Lee, and tell me what you... Oh, sorry. Listen to this statement right here and tell me what you think of it. We are the fallen angels until we become the Anunnaki. Because Anunnaki means Anu, Sky Father, Na, An, and Ki, Earth. And fallen angels is just fallen from the knowledge of what we truly are.
Right. Yes, you could say that. I mean, the idea of us being, you know, we're coming out of the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages
of our fallen state.
Yeah. So I think I totally get. Yeah, if that's what you're saying, it's just.
Isn't it just like humanity to put
why
negative?
Why do so many people in the New Age community call it ascension? Why is the concept of ascension? Because if we are fallen, then the only way is up. Really, I
mean. Very good. That was awesome, dude. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Very good. That's perfect.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, there is a potential that things could maybe get a little bit rougher. You know, we don't know how things are going to go in the here and now, but
man only exists on that which resists. If the earth did not resist, man would existeth not.
Right. We would. Yeah, I think we're here to experience stuff, and it doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we die. So.
What's the best age? I don't know if you have children, but you know, you there's a saying when you have a kid, they have to learn through their own experience for them to grow as a flame of their own. You know what I mean? So you can't just smother your child and put them in the corner and hope they're going to learn everything they need to learn and keep them safe. You have to let them go out and experience. So that's the microcosm of, you know, the microcosm of the macro. So, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, you wouldn't get to this point if you didn't have that thirst for knowledge, if you didn't have that need to know. And I think you have to want to know. And I think, I mean, for me, I had a number of scenarios and situations in my past that have caused my reality paradigms to shatter one after the other. And it was like, eventually you don't know what's real anymore anyway. So when you get to that point, you know, the only thing you can do is the self-responsibility route, whereas, okay, well, I can't be responsible for everyone else's reality, but I can be responsible for mine. And And so I'm just choosing to manifest beautiful, wonderful things as much as I can, and just trying to weather the shit that hits when it hits the fan. You know, you just try and get through it. And there's, you know, I've had anxiety issues for a long time, and that's one of my biggest mountains to climb, and that's what I'm still trying to work out for myself right now. I know it's we've all got
I've got another odd synchronicity. Do you remember when we were trying to figure out what the 5 was related in our paradigm? Remember before we remember all that? I don't know if you were part of that discussion, but I know Aaron was, and we were talking about, so we know what the 7 is, we know what the 3 is, and what's with the 5? And then Aaron busted in and said, I think it has something to do with the pyramids. And the 5 is the shining state, or the understanding of the 4, you know, and that's what we all have the capability and the tools to accomplish, is to become the diamond. The diamond is the 5th state of you know, the shining, you know, the light of.
Right. Yes. I mean, if you were to look at the cross and those 4 points, the 5th point would create the prism or a pinnacle above the others.
It's funny you say that, dude, because the trapezium open star cluster,
it'd be a pyramid.
Yes, that trapezium open star cluster, you know, it's in Orion's sword or whatever, you know, that's where the Fibonacci sequence of our part of our cosmos it begins, you know, and we're on the arms of it, way out from it. But I mean, that's not what I wanted to say. And in the wordplay there, trapezium, but the stars that make up the trapezium form a cross, and there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
And the top one is a binary, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, wow.
In terms of lines as well, the 5 would go right through the middle. So yes, it would create a diamond, wouldn't it? And
right.
You've got your what's the tesseract as well, and all that as a
tetrahedron, and yeah, I mean, it's also just nuts that you know, you can think of the what is the primordial mound of creation is, because I just seen a researcher talk about what the Giza plateau looked like before the pyramids were built on what existed already, you know, and it was crazy how they're, it's just nuts how.
Well, this is where this is why the mud flood stuff is so interesting, because it you know, there's obviously questions as to the age of some of these buildings. I've been following the mud flood stuff and the reset stuff as well.
You did dive into that, huh?
There's bits, you know, I'm still a truther in many ways, so I'm maybe like going the spiritual.
I wouldn't even go there, man. I was like, no.
The certain things I can't help but want to look at. Because it's all about our history, and there's elements associated with that, our history, and different elements that where, you know, a lot of it could just be made up anyway, and you know, what's really happened, and certain reset events and stuff like that. It's all really, really fascinating. It's one of the things that I've always had a little bit of an interest in eschatology and that kind of thing. So looking into that was really, really interesting, and it also opened me up to other communities and other people I could talk to, and you know, start connecting a few dots on the, you know, energetic network that we're all creating between ourselves. You know, every community, every person connects more, and we start having these little connections. I love seeing how Arwayne Steiner and Jeffrey Doherty and all these people are kind of linking up on a regular basis now. You know, it's really cool to see that community growing, and that I think some of them are really worthy people who can really help a lot of other people. You know, it gives people hope a lot of the time, and it's nice because I think that's also happened. That's been happening already. You know, within these communities, you know, the Skywatch community has been doing it for a while. So, you know, everyone's just linking up, and I think that's the way to go now. We start connecting connecting with each other more, and we start to formulate our new reality because we're open to possibilities, and being open to possibilities rather than programmed to a point of closure where our reality is just confined by everything we've been told. I think by
isn't it crazy how the closer we get to the prize, the more convoluted our media becomes, like how the History Channel is pushing the aliens, and and how the government is coming out with we spent $20 million on research, and this is what we saw, and they show us that
it's all about it's all about controlling the narrative, because they do, right. So it's obviously they have foreknowledge and other things. They are expecting stuff to happen. So what they do is like a kind of damage control. They will grab the narrative and try to construct it and control it as much as they can. So we only get a little portion of the actual truth. But I think there is actually they're too late, because I think anybody who is waking up will already know in their heart that they are receiving first contact directly, one way or another, through their personal experiences, and they probably have been for a while now. And eventually you realize the first contact is happening on a personal, individual basis, not as a grand event. So not in the way that Independence Day would have you think. So I think what's happening is they're trying our governments, we already know it's just a pantomime. There is no such thing as countries anymore, where we are already in their new world order. It's been for a long time. And the fact that people
it's funny you say that.
It's already happened. It's already happened, because everything that's happening around us is all just a pantomime. It's just
a freaking game. It's just a game, a shell game, man.
It's not real. No, most of it is not real. It's all a game to distract us from focusing on ourselves and our own personal development.
So look inward is what they're trying to keep us from doing.
Right, and that's all it is. So I don't watch any of that shit anymore, man. I try to not to pay attention to it. A bit difficult to avoid it when it's your prime minister changing. But aside from that, you've got to. I mean, the way I see it is, it's just a pantomime, and the only way they control our perspectives is through the narrative. And so, who knows what's really happening, what's going to happen? Who knows if we're going to see aliens or not? Who knows if the aliens are even real or not? Who knows what's what anymore? Who knows? And
in my studied opinion, I think the white man is the alien. We came to this Earth, and we're destroying this Earth just like we destroyed Mars, man.
Well, I think that, it's possible that the avatars we're existing in at the moment are perhaps from some kind of hybridized program. But I mean, that's depending on your scale of perception. That if you're thinking of it from the 3D kind of material world,
right.
Say this avatar is a hybridized. Oops, I can't speak shit. I'm being called from somewhere else. Sorry. That kind of thing. So you've got to think of it from different perspectives all the time, from the micro to the macro and beyond, but beyond all perspectives, and that to me then makes me realize, well, this is why it's so important for them to manipulate our mind, because they're not as powerful as they say they are. Don't ascribe to them any power, because they don't really have it anyway. They don't have a lot of it's deception. A lot of they wouldn't work so hard at the deception if they weren't so worried about our potential and us finding out. And I reckon what's happening is their mechanisms for maintaining the illusion are failing now, and that gradually all of this stuff is collapsing in on itself. And every time something happens, every time a negative thing is executed, it will basically backfire. We're at that point where the karma cycle is so fast.
Right. I totally agree with that. The karma thing, and I don't want to cut you off, brother. I don't want to cut you off, but I got one more subject I want to talk with. We've been doing this now for 2.5 hours, I think, or 3 hours. Well, no, you don't have to say sorry because I'm enjoying it. It's just it's getting it's like 3 o'clock in the morning here. What time is it there? Like 9 at night?
9 a.m. now. Yeah, 9
Oh,
a.m.
9 in the morning. You're ahead of me.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you got your whole day ahead of you. But have you seen any of the videos I put out about December 13th or January 13th, 2020?
I don't know, man. I haven't been keeping up with anybody's
Do you have
videos.
solar system scope?
Sorry?
Do you have solar system scope?
No.
Okay, now even after I say you have to look inward and all this other stuff, and anything that is telling you to look outward, don't pay any mind to. And I'm not straying from that at all. But this is a cross conjunction of the planets of our solar system. That
Right.
it's Earth, the Sun, Mercury, Sirius, and that's the big part of it. Sirius, Saturn, and Pluto. Okay.
Right.
And on opposite ends of that line is Pluto, which is Hades, and Earth. Okay.
Right.
And then on either side of the sun, you have, guess what, two planets, Mars and Venus. So in an alchemical sense, that is the extreme opposites on both sides of the cross.
Right.
And I mean, and that's on 1/13/2020.
Right. I would reckon. All right. I reckon there's something in that because I look at crop circles and I'm fascinated by them. And the way I see it is, if somebody, it doesn't matter whether they're man-made or not. The very fact that they are created and exist means that something somewhere is trying to put out a message. So it doesn't matter how the message was there. The fact is there is a message and needs to be looked at. And the last 2 months, the crop circles have been going crazy. And there are some amazing formations that have been made, and they're looking very astrological. So you might be interested in checking out the cropcirclecenter.com because they keep it relatively up to date. And some of those things look like constellations and astrological arrangements. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, I reckon they're giving away some interesting messages in those crop circles that you might find interesting if you're into that. But yeah, I definitely think there's a connection there with alchemy and astrology. They're intimately linked. It's it's a language. That's all it is. Astrology is like a way of understanding alchemy, and alchemy itself, I think, is it. I mean, that when it starts referring to things like elements and stuff, and metals or gases, I think that in itself is another code. I think alchemy is something we do internally and with our own energy and our ability to manifest reality. And it's something that we've forgotten about and that we're relearning. And if we get into the astrology and stuff, we get to understand how alchemy happens within us every day and how we can have more, manage that better, I suppose you could say.
Imagine being alive back when all of this was known to a human. Imagine that when your first 5 or 10 years of your life, you were put in a school and you learned the basics of reading and writing or whatever the hieroglyphic, whatever the case may be. But you were taught how to communicate what you think and shown what the secrets of everything is. Imagine the places we could be now if that were allowed to continue. Imagine that.
I think it will be. I think that's what's kind of happening,
Or do you think that is actually already present because it's an one-time all-existent paradigm we're really in, instead of 1,000 universes or 1,000 dimensions? It's one dimension, dimensionless, and timeless, and time all at the same time, and we just don't recognize it. It's like that movie Deja Vu when they had that machine and they're trying to warn, So what if that's the whole just wow factor for me is like,
Yeah.
it's just our reality is much deeper than,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
We're only, I mean, that was the whole idea about waking up, isn't it? That our conscious perception becomes aware of alternative ways of being, alternative types of consciousness, um, alternative things which are going on parallel to what was happening in the now as well. Um, the way I see it is that things are happening in other dimensions and they have a three-dimensional representation. So whatever is happening in the three-dimensional, that should give you a clue as to what is happening in other realms or other realities or other dimensions, whatever you want to call it. And so it all intersects here within the cross, in the world of the cross. Our perception, it all intersects in our perception, and this is just the physical
it's
manifestation.
it's so just awe-inspiringly comforting to hear other people think or talk like I think, and it's, you know what I mean. I don't want to fall into a group think mentality either, but you know what
No,
I'm saying there. It's
yes,
refreshing to know that there's people out there with the same thoughts.
right.
So,
But what it is because we are coming to these realizations on our own, and then when we're hearing those realizations echoed back to us from other seemingly separate experiences, it's reassuring. But that's what's happening at the moment. But it can be a little bit disconcerting because make you wonder.
round and round, you turn me inside out, and round. What's that song? Upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
Oh boy, you turn me inside out and round and round. I just seen that round and round in the chats. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
Like a tesseract, it goes. I mean, it's the four-dimensional cube. It is literally going inside out as well as moving around. So it's a paradox, and I guess in a sense it's a bit like a toroidal field which constantly get flowing. It's going inside out as well, So there's so many.
What about the song Hakuna Matata on Lion King? Think about those lyrics right there.
Well, it's definitely something I've got to try and incorporate into my life.
Right, but I'm not even saying about the lesson. I'm saying about what the words are. And Hakuna Matata means no worries for the rest of your days. It's your problem free, And that's how I see Phil. You know what I mean? He has no
Right.
worries, man. He cares, but he doesn't worry about shit. He says,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's what I'm after is that Hakuna Matata, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when you get into the flow of things, there is no need to worry because you trust that things will flow accordingly as they should.
I'm already trusting that and think that things are just as they should be,
Right. And I guess I think that's the point of balance, isn't it? When you're there, there's a nice equilibrium to be in. And I think that's what we're learning to do, to try and incorporate that equilibrium into our life on a day-to-day level so that it becomes our new normal. And that's one of the things I'm finding, it does mean having to perhaps adjust your own physical environment sometimes, maybe relocate, do whatever you need to do to reach that equilibrium. There are perhaps certain things we need to do to increase the probability of those potentials. And
Man, just as you're talking, do you find yourself doing? Well, I'm going to try to explain or articulate what I just experienced while you were talking. How when you said equilibrium, all of a sudden, what pops into my mind is the stillness point of in between the toroid, in between the
yes. Yeah.
I think
I find sometimes if I'm connecting with somebody and I'm having a conversation, I'll start receiving images while they're talking, or the other person will start receiving images while I'm talking. It's really interesting.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to articulate right there. Yeah. And it's, I think that's part of the learning curve of what we're going through on a group basis, on a human individual basis as well as, and that's what makes the journey personal, I think, is how we're all going to see things in a different light, no pun intended, but we're going to see things that are important as for what they are, but we're all going to have little things that mean more to us than the next person to lead us down that narrow path. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey brother, thanks for coming on and having this talk with me, man.
It's been great
Yeah,
catching
we
up.
got to do this again, man. It's been too long. It was over a year now, I think.
We'll do it again soon. It's been great catching up, man, and a great tour.
How both of us have changed and morphed into our own idioms and ideas of what reality is, and it's kind of crazy cool how they're kind of in line with each other without even having to interact with it.
It's fantastic, isn't it? I love it.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Great catching up, mate. Take care.
But yeah, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on. We've been on a long time, but I mean, people see these 2.5 hour videos on my channel, and they won't even click on it because they don't want to get involved in what's being talked about, because obviously it goes on forever.
Yeah.
But that's the grind of our reality, is we don't have enough time for real learning, and every minute I learn and every person that contributes to that learning, I appreciate wholeheartedly, and you included, brother.
Thank you, mate. Nice chatting.
Love, peace, chicken grease.
Bye-bye.
Take her easy, man. Hey, and everybody in chat, I appreciate you coming to share this experience with us, as at the spur of the moment, as I always do these live streams. But tomorrow I'm going to be Jerry Runk and I are going to have a little heart to heart. We haven't talked for a while, and he's agreed to come on in the morning, and we're going to have another one of these little sessions. But we're going to talk about from Runky Monkey's perspective. The Runksters turned out to be a good friend of mine and a confidant that I really respect and admire. So if you guys are up in the morning, right around, I think, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock Central Time, that's only in 7 hours, but we're going to have a discussion. So come join us then. But thanks, Bruce, for joining us. Valley Parks, Mary Winds, Michelle, my wind beneath my wings, Mr. Michelle Seymour, love you, sweetheart. I'm glad you were here. Mary, I love you. You guys are excellent, all of you. Valley, who else am I missing? Aaron. Yeah, I got utmost respect for you, brother. Hope your family's doing good. The baby's doing well. And am I missing anybody? Lee, Astro, Danny D, sweetheart, you got a special place in my heart. Thank you guys. Thank you all. Live, love, laugh. Right hand rule.